Adam Kontras. I love doing this with you because I know you, and I plan on doing a lot of these with people I don't know. But to do this with you, who I know, who has an awesomely interesting life, I think this is
this
work.
number one?
This is number one.
Holy shit! I feel
You're
honored.
number one. What I figured is I'm going to take the guy who has the longest running video blog in the world and make him number one for me. It's like good karma.
If I can't fill an hour with that guy.
I mean, I call you to say hi, it lasts an hour, so I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's hilarious that we're doing this right now, too, because one of the things that sticks out for me in general is that people lose sight of real life all the time. I think that's a huge problem. I think what's going on in Hollywood right now is the manifestation of that, that we forget that these people that you look up to on any level, you see people in the media and you forget that they're real people, that they have real lives, that there's just stuff going on. Right now, I literally just finished a shoot 10 minutes ago, ran upstairs. I did it in my building. I ran upstairs to get this set up, and then I have to catch a train to Manhattan 20 minutes after we're done. So that's where I'm at, and I know you're filling this in right now too, right?
Right. As you were saying that, I was remembering a client of mine who said, if we end it at this exact time, can you give me a better deal, or do you have anything after? I'm like, well, we're booked afterwards. And he was, what could you have on a Tuesday? I'm like, I'm picking up my kids, dick. Like, it doesn't matter. No, I can't do that. People see you as one thing. You can't possibly have anything else. Yes, no, I know what you mean.
And that's what's awesome, too, about you, and I think this Los Angeles life that you live. You came from Ohio, so you definitely know another world outside of L.A., but before I started coming to LA in 2013, I don't even think I had been there before that, like ever in the state. Yeah, never in the state of California. It's funny because now, I do about 150,000 miles a year, but prior to 2013, I had barely been anywhere. My parents took me to Israel a bunch because that's what you do when you're a Jew growing up in New York. Yeah. But I think that was the only international destination I'd ever been to, except like to go to my friend's wedding in Canada, if that even counts. And I drove. But that's about it. So I started coming to LA in 2013, and everything that you perceive and you hear about and you think about, it's real. I mean, LA is this really fucked up place that doesn't exist outside anywhere else, certainly in this country. I mean, nobody really has like a job, which is kind of weird. The most normal job to have in LA is to be like a waiter or something like that, where at least it's like have a job, and then even every waiter has another job, so it doesn't even count because they're all waiting tables to do something else.
First of all, if you're a waiter in LA, you're a professional. Like, that's hard to do. It's really hard to get a waiting gig out here. No, there are accountants. There are all of those things. The thing about Los Angeles that's nuts is it is exactly what you make it, and that means that every trip you took could be wildly different, and you assume, I guess that's what LA is. So if you're coming in from a professional standpoint, which you were, obviously, the very first few times you were coming in, you're running into actors, you're running into those people, that's what you think it is. I have a very boring, I stay at home almost all the time. So my life is it could be anywhere. It could be in LA, it could be, but again, it's really what you make it. There are people that hike all the time. Every time you come, you're hiking. I don't know why.
I love hiking.
Yeah, so you must think, wow, what a great place it is to hike. I don't think I ever hiked the first 10 years I lived here. Hiking? No, I had shit to do. So it really depends on what you do. Every time you come out could be drastically different.
And what's funny that we get into the Hollywood stuff is one of my first times in LA, it might have actually been my first time, I ran into Harvey Weinstein. I was shooting corporate interviews at the Beverly Hills Hotel, and in one day we saw Shaq, Mark Wahlberg, Harvey Weinstein. This is like literally on a Tuesday.
Right, I know.
That's just where they do their business. And Harvey's sitting in the lobby holding court, yelling at people, grabbing newspapers, reading this on the phone. And you figure, like, is this for show? Is this really like what this guy's all about? But it was pretty crazy to see how much power somebody could yield and what this city, like, really was seem to be, I guess, all about. And yeah, I'm sure there are accountants and lawyers and, you know,
Well, insurance salesman, but you were at the Beverly Hills Hotel. Like, if you go to the Ivy, you're like, wow, people eat food and they're really famous here. I've never been to the Ivy. I drove past it once. I saw somebody famous. I'm like, if I wanted to see famous people, that's where I'd go. But otherwise, I have no business being there. It's too expensive.
And what is your job? I mean, that to me, your job is so interesting because, I mean, just tell me. Like, if somebody said to you, Adam, what do you do for a living? What would you say?
To be honest, this is the very first time in my life, for more than 6 months, I've been able to have an answer. Truthfully. I rent the DeLorean. I rent the DeLorean for Back to the Future. I run the website rentthedelorean.com, and that's what I do. The reason we're doing this early is because I have an event today. Got to go to a shoot today. I didn't expect it to be like this, but it's all I've done for 4 years. For money. Although, I mean, I do all my other stuff all the time, but, you know, I don't have to think about that money thing anymore, which is, it's strange for me to say that. I don't think about money anymore. It's the truth.
Which is awesome.
It is unreal. It's surreal.
I mean, I get it because I have zero job security whatsoever, but do you worry about that?
I thought 2015 was the end of it, dude. When I made that car, I made it in 2014 thinking 2015 would be a big year. It was. It was awesome. I made more than I knew what to do with it, to be perfectly honest, and I just kind of saved it for, you know, when the shoe was going to drop. And then 2016, the shoe didn't drop. 2017 was better than 2016. I'm like, okay, well, this is crazy. 2018's shaping up, and I'm like, well, maybe the shoe isn't going to drop. Maybe the nostalgia isn't going to move into the 90s. And I think that's what's happening. And it's funny, I talked to my dad about this because he's ironically, an 80s cover band. And, you know, we were talking because my whole life he was in bands. I mean, he did these songs when they were new, and he did these songs when they were 30 years old. And he goes, we said the nostalgia never moved, man. It didn't move. It didn't go into the 90s and the 2000s like it was supposed to. You know, it seemed to just kind of stick in the 80s and the early 90s. I don't know what happened. Pop culture just went in the 21st century, and there doesn't seem to be something a whole community can wrap around. So everybody's stuck in the 80s, which means 80s cars are still going to be popular in 10 years, and I guess we'll see what happens. I mean,
would you say you make most of your money on this catering to what age? Well, catering to what age group?
Yeah.
So catering to what age group?
Oh, geez. I mean, I presume it's all people my age, 40. You know, mid. You know, but I mean, when you do a high school dance, are you doing it for the kids? Or are you doing it for the principal that hired you?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Do these kids even know? Like, they even know what you're talking about?
Some do, some don't. More don't. So, you know, but you're helping. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of, you know, they might not get it now, but they think it must be important, and then they go back and watch the movie. You know, I can't tell you how it just keeps coming up and coming up and coming up. I mean, I do a lot of birthday parties for little kids that love it. You know, like that's 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 year olds. Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and say that's for the parents.
Yeah, but they legitimately like it. I mean, listen.
Well, it's a silver car with lights everywhere. You know?
No. But I mean, the kid's dressed up like Marty McFly, and you know, he's telling me movie lines. I mean, you can make your kid like whatever the hell you want if you're honest. I mean,
look, my kid's 11 now, and I guess I showed him Back to the Future probably 4 years ago, so he was like 7 or 8, which was definitely wildly inappropriate. But I mean,
oh no, my kid saw it at 3. But you know, we just skip past the Libyan scene.
I just feel like it's okay at 3 because you don't get anything.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
At 7 or 8, you're doing a really shitty job
right.
as a parent.
I'll remember that when we readdress it.
But it's, you know, he was watching, like, it was his movie of choice. He had a TV in his room, and he would just put it on. There was a while, I think it was on Netflix for a while, like all 3 of them. And he would just pop it on every day and just watch them. And listen, I know he's my son, and he knew I was making a movie about it, so he did that. But I mean, genuinely, every day.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, we have our own biases to it because of what we were involved with, and I'm still involved with. But I think we were almost too close to it to know how special the movie was. You know what I mean? Because watching it now as someone who couldn't be more sick of the movie, it still catches me. Like, I'm still kind of enraptured by a scene and stunned at how good the actors are and how well they're right. I mean, it's just a perfect movie. And it's magic. I mean, it's just one of those, it's like Disney magic. Why does it work? Why does every kid like it? I don't know, but it works.
It's funny you say that, because I have zero desire to watch it, but if you put it on right now, I'd enjoy it.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's crazy. I never want to watch that movie, but I have to go to all these events where it's playing, and I'm like, I'll bring like my Switch. I'll be playing. I'm gonna play something else, and I'll be like, oh wait, there's a good scene. I want to see this, and I'm like, God damn it! Are you shitting me? Yeah.
You know, I almost feel bad for Bob Gale, because I think that whatever that magic is that you can't describe, I don't know that he can either, and I feel like he's not stuck. I mean, he's got more than enough money. He doesn't have to do anything. But, like, there's this element where he just wants to hold on to it and be a part of that magic that you probably can't describe. And
well, I think
it's gonna be weird.
I think you keep trying, because it's not just the director. That wasn't the point. I mean, when you have magic like that, it's a conglomeration of everything. You're talking about, other than Michael J. Fox. Yeah, pretty much other than Michael J. Fox. That was everybody's best moment I've ever seen captured on film. As far as the actors are concerned.
As far as the actors.
Yeah, as far as the actors are concerned. I mean, it was like their peak, most perfect casting I've ever seen. Everything is so earnest, and they don't play it like they used to in the 80s. If you watch a lot of 80s movies that don't work anymore, they have that bullshit campy that it just looks like they're acting. Nobody looks like, except Claudia Wells. Claudia Wells is the normal, not bad, she just is the normal 80s actress, right?
Yes.
Leah Thompson believed she was fucking Marty's mom. Tom Wilson was Biff. Crispin Glover, what the hell was that?
I think he doesn't even know what he is.
It's brilliant. It's just so, even Don, as much as I give shit about Don about being lucky for a week, dude, he plays Mayor Goldie Wilson perfectly. You believed you were in 1955, and this was some skinny kid that was like, oh, I'm going to be mayor. I mean, he had such actual honesty about it. All of the performances in that movie are honest, and I just...
I talked to every one of these people and asked them about that, and about the magic, and looking back 30 years, and they're all liars, okay? Because, I mean, Leah Thompson's done some stuff since Back to the Future.
Yeah, she's great.
Nothing is big, and she'll be the first one to tell you that. But I don't believe for 1 second that you don't look back at that moment in your life and go, shit, I plateaued at 25.
No, she said that. She said that in an interview. I peaked at 25. The fuck do I do? And she just keeps going. You just keep going. But sometimes you have to know the best you was behind you. Well, that's life, man.
I mean, nobody's going to admit that. I'll admit it in an honest moment. I genuinely believe that Back in Time might have been the best thing I'll ever do. Right. And, it was only 2 years ago. But it's like, and I say this all the time, I think the best thing I did was just assume that this anniversary was going to be big. Everything else fell into place.
Yeah.
Not really by my doing. I mean, sure, I worked hard on it, and I had to put out this, a shitload of work went into it, and I don't want to sell myself short, but I still feel like the best thing I did was just guess that this anniversary was going to be huge, and everything else that happened was completely, I mean, it was never in my wildest imagination that I'd be, just hanging out, Michael J. Fox, talking about the Bruins and the Rangers. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Talking about hockey.
Yeah, and I guarantee you that there's another part of you that I could talk to after a couple whiskeys, and that would be, I bet I could do something different with the way I edited it. Right?
I'll say that right now.
Yeah,
I would have told you that the day it came out.
Right. Well, yeah, I talked to you. We talked about the first day it came out, actually. My point is that it doesn't change your creative process. You keep going. You just keep going. I've done, if you don't even know half the shit I've done project-wise. And yeah, of course you look back and go, wow, fuck, I was actually on CBS doing this, or I had a Comedy Central pilot. Oh my God. I mean, people would judge certain things as the best thing I've ever done. I totally get it. But it doesn't stop you creatively. I gotta keep, it's like taking a shit. I gotta keep doing it. I've had some good ones,
and you probably also think people are telling you it's the best thing you've ever done, and you smile and nod, and you think that, you're pulling the fast one over on everyone because it's not.
The worst thing for me is Well, you know what happens when I take that car out. Everybody assumes that's my life. Oh my God, you must be the biggest Back to the Future fan ever. You must be so into cars. You must be so happy with all the attention you get. And I'm like, dude, I am hiding in my car. I don't want anybody to see it. I wish I could fly it to the place. I just don't want it to get hurt. It pays my mortgage. This is all awful. I'm not happy until this is back in its little cubbyhole and I can hang out because it's so stressful.
Well, I take part of the fault for that one because you were in a documentary appearing as a guy who's obsessed with Back to the Future. I did that.
I guess. I mean, thankfully, that's the one thing that's nice because if people see it, then we can talk, and then there's other things to talk about because they want to talk about how I built a mini golf course. Which is another thing. People think, boy, you must love mini golf. I can't fucking stand mini golf, to be perfectly honest. I like it now. It's in my backyard, but I never play it. I do it because it's cool.
That's the other thing, too. I mean, all right, so if I just described you to somebody, I'd say, like, all right, there's this guy. I mean, surface level stuff. Here's this guy. His name is Adam.
Yeah, good luck.
He lives in North Hollywood. All right, so now we're talking to somebody who's outside of, doesn't even know what or where North Hollywood is. Lives in Hollywood,
right?
The north part.
Right.
He drives around a DeLorean time machine. He has a mini golf course in his backyard. People are probably assuming that you're like rolling in cash.
Right. I know it sounds awesome. It is not. It's a tiny middle class home in the valley. I say that, but Jesus, these days, if you have a house in Los Angeles, you've done well because the housing market out here is crazy. The rental market out here is insane. My garage gets me more a month than my mortgage. I mean, think about that for a fucking second, dude. I was very handy and turned my garage into a really nice apartment, and that helped. But yeah, it all sounds crazy. But yeah, if you hang out with me for more than 2 seconds, it's not flashy at all. It just really isn't. It's just something that I did because I didn't know what else to do. So I just kept going. You just keep going. I guess I'll build a deck. I guess I'll put a mini golf course. I don't know. It's what happened when I woke up that day. And then it turned into all this craziness. And it's kind of fun. Every day is a new day.
But on the flip side, I mean, you got to say you have an awesome fucking life because you don't have to go to an office. You don't have a boss. Your job is essentially showing up somewhere with a car, and then you have this kick-ass backyard where you could have people over all the time and hang out and drink at your bar, and
right.
And that's life.
I've never had. Here's what's weird. I started in radio, right? So even in radio, it doesn't feel like you have a boss because you're going because you want to go in because you have a show. Your boss isn't why you're going in. You're already thinking about your show. You're already thinking about what you're going to do next. Your boss is the guy that keeps you from saying fuck a lot on the air. That's about it, right? Which is a job for my boss.
You forget it, yeah.
So I was already in that mindset. And then when I came out to
satellite before the days of satellite.
Oh, yeah. No, you know what's honest? I still do radio. I still do, I jump in with some people I know and so forth. It's very easy for me to take that out if they need me to. I got kids. I got to watch it anyway. But if they don't need me to, cool. Then I don't think about it. I'm glad this is going to be an explicit podcast. You didn't mention that if it wasn't going to be.
I think I said fuck in the first 2 minutes.
Okay,
so good.
But no, so I come out in radio, and that feels very bossless. When I come out to LA, I'm living off savings. I'm trying to make stuff work. I end up doing video editing, freelance video editor. Right? This is 2000, and back when it was pretty difficult to pull that off on your PC. So everything I did was pretty freelance. I'm lucky to have enough talents that I can do that. I think for 1 year I was an office manager at a chiropractor's office. There I had a boss. That kind of sucked. But that's the way shit happens. Is you need a job and somebody's like, hey, this person needs this, and I'm like, well, I'm good at that. I am very good at business stuff. I think that's the other reason why I rent the DeLorean. It sounds really amazing and lucky, but you know what? There's other people with time machines here. You have to be a good businessman. You have to be on it. You have to have that stress in your stomach all the time. You have to constantly be booking. You have to keep a good website. I mean, there are certain tenets of business you should be good at.
So if I put a gun to your head, should I have bought that DeLorean in 2015?
No. In fact, no. I swear to you, I believe that. There's like two of us in the world that are making a living at this. You know, there really is. I'm not kidding. There's a guy in San Luis Obispo who's doing well. Once again, he bought the very first thing on Google, the ad, and you know, I'm lucky because I actually am at the top just because of good search engine optimization. But he's not making as much as I am because fuck, he's in San Luis Obispo. I'm in Los Angeles. Like it's the movie mecca, so everybody's kind of movie nuts anyway. In New York, dude, I have a guy in New York, and whenever I get a job in New York or Long Island, he's like, ugh, because it's such a pain in the ass to get around there. He's like,
it says the guy from North Hollywood.
Well, no, dude, Manhattan, I would not want to try to unload a trailer in Manhattan.
Yeah, Manhattan's a different beast, but I mean, any of the suburbs, it's
but if you're on the New Jersey side and you got to get to Long Island, that's not you can't do a quick. The thing about LA, sure, if I got to go 30 miles, that's kind of a pain in the ass. But if it's in like the Valley, it takes me 10, 15 minutes to get somewhere. It depends on where you're going. You know, a lot of my gigs are in town. You know, it's 10 miles away. You know?
Yeah, the other thing, it's funny you say that, and not that this is the most interesting thing in the world, but I remember when I drove from LA back to New York in June, the one thing that stood out, we put a trailer on the back of a Corolla, okay?
Right. That's
and
smart.
Yeah, the one thing that stood out was, wait a minute, the roads in the rest of the United States are all awesome.
Yeah.
You could drive, as soon as you get out of California, literally until you hit Pennsylvania, the roads are smooth and nice and paved well. And then you get into Pennsylvania, and it's a disaster. I felt like the trailer was coming off every block. You had to, like, turn around and look to make sure it was still there. So I hear you. I hear why running a DeLorean business out of the greater New York area.
Yeah, well, just that and the tolls and so forth. And truthfully, there just aren't a whole lot of calls for it in that area. I have a friend who in Columbus who he didn't listen to me. I told him, don't do it. Don't do it. The gravy train has moved, and he did it. And he's like, all right, well, it's going. I put my $35,000 down, and and I'm like, okay, all right. And he's expecting that. He's like, well, I'd like to talk about a contract between you and rentadalorn.com and me. And I'm like, there's no fucking contract. If you, I don't know what to tell you, buddy.
I'll call you if I get a call in Ohio.
Yeah, I mean, I said that's all that happens. I'm like, he goes, well, what percentage? I'm like, you don't get. We're not even to that. What happens is, if you get a call on Columbus, from Columbus, it's your lucky fucking day, dude. I just make sure, can you get it? Can you go there? Oh my God, like it's like so rare. I just want to make that client happy. And then I say, how much you want to do it for? It's like, it's one of those situations. The $300. And then maybe I'll tell the client, how about $400? And I get $100. But that's how that works. There is no business model for those other cars. It's just some shit comes up sometimes, and if you're close and you got the car, cool. But
what are people willing to pay for this shit?
$200 an hour, $2 a mile.
Corporate also?
That's I charge. This is why I'm doing well. I charge the exact same amount for everybody.
You don't do the hello.
No.
Hotel. Yeah, it'll be $5,000 an hour.
No, I do $200 an hour, $2 a mile. The corporate people need you longer. You're going to get your money. Stop upcharging people for weddings. Stop upcharging people for corporate. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Listen, corporations, the events are bigger. They need you there earlier. So I charge however long you need that car there. That's what I charge for.
So wait, if I have an event on a Thursday, there's a trade show on a Thursday, and you have to load it on Wednesday night, you're charging
No, it's a day rate. It's $1,500 a day. And then it's a hotel, whatever, and so forth.
So you're going to charge me for Wednesday, you're going to charge me for Thursday?
No.
So
it depends. If I have a full day, like it's $1,500, I need you on a Thursday, but they need me really early in the morning. I'll see how long they need me, if they need me for more than 8 hours, that kind of stuff. I'm willing to work it out. For example, I did 4 days in Vegas, right? Well, shit, we're already at $6,000, and they're paying mileage there and back. So now we're at $7,000. You know, at that point, I'll load it in the night before. We're good. Just give me a hotel room. We're fine. It really just depends on that kind of stuff. So yeah, it gets crazy. Trade shows, that kind of stuff. But no, the bulk of it is my average gig is $600-700. That's just an average, and that's awesome. That's just awesome.
How much cash have you dumped into this thing since it was done? Like, you got it and you're like, okay, here's my time machine. How much money has it cost you since then?
Well, it wasn't much until I decided to make it the fastest DeLorean in the world. That's when it all changed.
Before that,
not a lot, man. It was a good running car. I'm not anal about, I mean, my car's pretty perfect as far as all the goofy things that the fans notice. Oh, well, that's a little bit shade of blue that should have been this. It's pretty perfect, all that kind of stuff.
That's a whole nother podcast for another time.
Yeah, dude. I don't participate in that. I remember the first time Lenny saw my car. He came to my house at a Golf Con event. For those who don't know who Lenny is another time machine owner. And he just walked right up to me and he's like, "Oh, so it's not a manual transmission. Oh, it's black leather instead of gray. Oh." And he just started pointing out all the ways his was
and you're
better.
Like, you know what's funny? Nobody's ever asked me for a discount on a rental because it had black and
it was everything I could do to be like, oh, I made $125,000 last year, Lenny. You did 4 gigs for me. What the fuck are you talking about? Why are you acting like this? God love him. We still work together, but most of the owners have that mentality of, I'm better, or mine's this. Ugh. You know, like, I just don't care. If most people, if the door goes up, they're fucking happy. They're like, oh my shit, that's amazing. You know?
And why? I mean, were you just bored out of your mind one day and you said, you know what, now I'm going to make this the fastest DeLorean in the world?
No, my brother, who is he builds performance race engines. That's just what he does. And he came he came to LA to visit. First time he'd ever been to California. Him and my dad came out and we just started talking and I was having transmission problems. We later know that basically some wires had melted together, so the transmission was starting in 3rd gear. Like, there's only 3 gears in an automatic transmission in a DeLorean. So, like, you'd start off and it'd be like, I'm like, this is a really slow car. Why the fuck is it this slow? And so we were just talking, and I was like, he's like, dude, I can for like $3,000, I can put a really fast engine in there. I'm like, fuck out of here. I'm not going to give you my car. And then my transmission really got bad. I was going like 25 miles an hour on the freeway. And I was like, I called him up. It was December 10th. I'll never forget it. And I was like, about that, can you really do this? And he was like, yeah, let me, I said, $3,000 bullshit. Tell me what it's really going to cost. He came back with like, he said $8,000. And in my head, I went, that's going to be $16,000, right? Ended up being $25,000. And it didn't work. But that's a whole other fucking story. But
you got it in the end, though. You
yeah. Way to give away the punchline. Yeah, but I had to build it. I had to fucking fix shit. I had to, No, in the very end, but you're jumping the gun a little bit, dude. You got an hour in this podcast. We're at 29 minutes.
They'll watch the documentary.
Yeah, they will. Yeah, a lot of crazy stuff happens. No, eventually, am I going to do it? If I'm going to do it, let's see if we can make it the fastest ever. So I went on and we started researching people had done this before. And I found out what the very fastest DeLorean was, which was a 12-second car. Everybody keeps getting used to, the Fast and the Furious saying a 10-second car.
Too much of that movie.
Yeah, if you're in a car that can go a quarter mile in 12 seconds, you're pissing your pants. Like, it's really fast. 13 seconds is fast. 14 seconds is fast. A normal car, if you just gun it, will take about 17 seconds to go. That's a normal car, like a Camry or something,
By the way, go watch Fast and the Furious with a stopwatch. Those 10-second cars aren't 10 seconds. It's a movie. I mean, that 10-second race takes like 45.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Nobody's ever pointed that out.
But, I mean, truthfully, listen, if you put a bunch of nitrous in and you put turbos, you can make anything go that fast. But so I decided to get the fastest ever, and then I shipped it out to Columbus and Ohio, and Kenny built it, and that's when the story begins. But yeah, then we I put in so much, probably $30,000 this year. But I had a good year this year. Like, another good year. It wasn't 2015, but it was double that amount. Like, it's crazy.
Do you kind of wish that you didn't put a manual transmission in it?
Well, you have to if you're going to have the speed. There's no choice. There's no automatic that could handle.
But now you're stuck driving this thing around LA and traffic. And
I'll tell you, once I get it still isn't working right. It's still stalling and it's having trouble idling. And once I get all those, I don't really mind the stick. That isn't the problem. It's all the other stuff that I mind. That the car won't start and it always stalls. So that's fucking scary. So like once it starts, you're like, oh, Jesus Christ, please don't stall, please don't stall, please. Oh, fuck me.
Do you go at any point like, in 10 years, I'm going to have to find another way to make money?
I'm the guy that if it's there, I just keep going. I can't. There's a responsibility towards it. I can't leave money on the table. If people want the fucking car, I'm going to get the car there. When I was having all the car problems, one night I almost had a panic attack. And I am the least panicky guy you'll ever meet. So if I'm having a panic attack, some shit's going down. And I actually talked to my wife that night and I said, I'm thinking of selling the car. Because I can't handle how badly the car's running and I'm in traffic and people are already trying to like kill me to take pictures of the car. And it just isn't feasible to always trailer it everywhere. People are like, oh, you just trailer it. Well, Jesus Christ, dude, that's a problem in and of itself. First of all, that's like 10,000 pounds going down the road with a car. I mean, that's scary. Like, I don't like trailering anything. And secondly, that adds like 5 hours to my day. Well, if I'm doing a 2-hour fucking birthday party, I don't want to do that. But I've become a mechanic. I've been studying, electric wiring diagrams. I've been taking apart the fuel pump and doing this and I've just been studying all mechanic shit for the past 6 months. And I'm pretty much nailed down what's the problem, computer issues, and what was done incorrectly, and I'm fixing it. So that helps. But yeah, dude, if it wasn't running properly, listen, it's a brand new engine. It should run probably for 20 years. But
are people going to want this thing for 20 years?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what you tell me. I thought this would be... Usually nostalgia is a 20-year thing. Nostalgia is a generational thing. Like in the 1970s, the 1950s were big. Yeah, Happy Days, that was like, oh, well, let's go back to the 50s, blah, blah. 1980s, the 60s were big. Right? If you remember that, 80s and 90s, 60s were big. Everything had like their decade. We got to the 80s and it stopped. The 80s have been big for 20 years. It doesn't make any sense.
Because the 90s were so stupid.
Yeah,
I mean... Forget it after 2000.
Well, everything splintered as far as the internet killed a community popular culture, right? Because now everything you like is easy to get. You don't have 3 television channels, right? You're not forced to do anything you don't like. So people that like rap only listen to rap. People that like rock only listen to rock. People that like this, there's no convergence anymore because you don't have to. You just go to your island.
I can't even keep up with how many different streaming services there are so you can get TV without actually paying for traditional cable or satellite.
Right.
There are so many that I can't even keep up with that.
Yeah.
And it's like, God damn, I just want to watch a football game on Sunday. Like, why is this so hard? Why do I have so many choices?
Yeah, no, it's true. But, I mean, but what ends up happening when you have that many choices and you have the internet where you can have a million different information streams and nobody's together anymore, right? Like it's just, there's no community. That used to be the only thing you could watch was news at 6 p.m., right?
So if you want to call it the most ironic thing in the history of the world, the tool that has now allowed us to be the most in connection with each other has divided us.
Absolutely. And I see zero end for that in sight. And I think that's why everybody's, we're talking about Trump or all these weird little, these movements that keep happening. How are we going to get past them? And I'm like, we're not, because information isn't equal anymore. And, no, all information is equal, and there is no fact anymore. So it doesn't matter. And I think that's what I keep trying to explain to people. They're like, well, it seems like you've given up on everything. I'm like, it's because I fucking have. Because we can't beat this.
At least somebody's honest, right?
Yeah, like I can't have a conversation with somebody who truly supports Trump because their facts are completely different than mine, because they're reading a different story. It's like having a book club and somebody's reading, 2 different books, and then you talk about chapter 6, And you're like, what the fuck? I thought she talked to, you know, that's what we're doing. It's worthless. It's over. And I don't know how you fix it because fucking Zuckerberg won't label fake news. Like, that's how we fix it. These publishing companies, which is exactly what Facebook is, they need to start having some backbone and labeling. I mean, you couldn't get a fucking ad in the New York Times that was Nazi ad in New York Times in the 80s, right? The editor would have went, that's inappropriate. We've got an editorial board that's, so Facebook, for fuck's sake, man. Like, Hillary Clinton didn't have a pedophile ring in a fucking bottom of a Pizza Hut. Like, that shouldn't be allowed to go on your service. Jesus Christ. So
I don't know if I'm the crazy one, but I almost feel like none of it matters because of what you said before. I mean, everybody lives their life in this thing, and I'm holding up my cell phone. Everyone's face is in their cell phone, and people's lives have become so much about themselves. There is no community. And I almost feel like we're entering a day and age where the fact that Donald Trump's president, I mean, I voted for the guy, but it almost doesn't even matter. Like, what's the difference? But everyone's going to go on in their own segmented life and do whatever the fuck they want anyway. And sure, there are some policies being passed down in Washington that are still being as kept from us as they, the lobbyists and the shit that goes on that they don't want us to know. We still don't know. Well, until it comes out, a few years later. I don't know. It just seems like we're in such a bad, horrible, fucked up place that it's, what's the difference?
The fact that you voted for the guy tells me that
that I didn't like Hillary Clinton.
It doesn't, but I could argue that the things that you didn't like about Hillary Clinton, other than her voice, didn't happen. Okay? Like, I can't stand Hillary Clinton. Like, every time the fucking TV turned on, I was like, ugh. Like, I was like, she'd say one line, like, and I was gone. I couldn't do it. However, I'm a poly nerd. I was in talk radio, like, in the 90s. I debated the first Clinton bill and healthcare policy back then. Because my voice always sounded like this, and that really helped me when I was 19 and I could be a talk show host. It's like, what are you, 75, Adam? What the fuck? Again, there's an information issue. I guarantee you there are things that you believed about her that you thought were true, and there were things that were said about Donald Trump that were true that you thought were fake, and at some point you thought it was reasonable that the literal physical affectation of Mr. Burns was a good choice for you. Like, the idea that Donald Trump was even a reasonable... He shouldn't have even been a candidate. Like, it's crazy that someone that corrupt and that clear...
I would have loved to have voted for somebody else. If I thought that voting for a third party candidate would matter, which it didn't. I mean, it would literally be a conversation piece to say that I just didn't vote for Donald Trump.
Right.
But he's all we. I mean, those are the two choices. And the thing about Donald Trump, I'll tell you honestly, I think I know who Donald Trump is. I think I've met enough Donald Trumps in my life that I have a good handle on what he is. And the fact that he's a total scumbag, it's not hidden. I mean, this isn't a surprise. The Billy Bush stuff, it's like, that probably happened 6 days a week.
Right, but does it matter to you that he's just also completely inept and doesn't know how anything works and nothing is getting done? I mean, pick one or the other. Like, as much as, he's everything he wants to do, I'm against, but he's so fucking bad at it, he can't get it done. So you're like, well, Jesus, this guy's a fucking moron.
I think Obama was a good president, and he tried hard, but quite frankly, all the things he got done didn't help me in my life.
How did healthcare not help you?
Oh, it was a disaster.
It helped me. Jesus Christ. It actually made my life.
Aren't you paying out the nose?
No, because he raised the lines as to, for what I qualify for. So my family for 4, I'm totally covered under California. It's fucking awesome. Yeah. No.
Yeah, I guess that's what happens. I mean, you have these policies which are meant to be for the good of the people. I don't think even Donald Trump is making policy that he thinks is bad for the people. He might be inept. He might not know what he's doing or have a good feeling about, what might be right and wrong if you're going to define all that. But at the end of the day, there's going to be people that come out on both sides of the line. You know, if you were making $300,000 a year, you wouldn't have liked Obamacare, not one bit. Healthcare got out of control in this country, out of control.
Well, there shouldn't be health. First of all, insurance companies, for this type of a fucking country, there's no reason that we don't have like free healthcare. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Other countries do it, and the rich people end up paying for it, and that's just kind of how it is. However,
Canada seems to be doing just fine.
Well, there's issues with that too, but it's still something. It's tangible to talk about. The biggest issue I've found with people is that they thought they had good health care, right? And then Obamacare comes along, and now it's they can't get the policy anymore, and it costs a lot more money. But the truth is, had you gotten sick, you'd have found out how good your fucking health care was. And the other thing that Obamacare did that people don't grasp is it made standards for insurance. So you have to cover this shit. And then the insurance company goes, well, if I have to cover it, then we're going to charge more. So you can blame Obamacare, or you can blame the fact that the plan you thought you had wouldn't have covered dick. And you were paying for nothing. And that was what was happening too. People would get sick. They're like, oh, well, I got insurance. And then the insurance company go like, oh, we don't cover that. Oh, you got that kind of sick. And so Obamacare comes in and goes, you can't do that, dude. You got to at least cover these pre-existing conditions, da-da-da-da. And now people are upset because it costs more, but that actually covers more. So it's an impossible situation. Something had to be done.
And I work with a ton of millennials, so you fall in an interesting place where you're just a guy, you made the right amount of money.
Yeah.
Now you get covered by Obamacare. But I talk to all these millennials who are piss broke, because that's what millennials are.
Right.
And they just fell off their parents' insurance. And now that you don't get penalized anymore for not having insurance, which was a weird twist in the Obamacare thing. It's like, wait, I have to have insurance or you're going to charge me?
Just like car insurance. Yes, you have to. That's how that works. It wouldn't work otherwise.
Yeah, but the thing is, if I kill somebody with my car, or if I hit somebody with my car and I'm not insured, the problem there is that person is now going to suffer because there's no one to pay them. So, you know what they say, driving is a privilege, not a right. I can understand that. I don't feel like the government should have control over what I choose to do with my own body.
I hear you loud and clear, except for the fact that you are part of a community, as we're talking, and there's no way to avoid getting sick and dying. There's no way to avoid it. It's impossible. If you, I mean, listen, if it was free healthcare, everybody be paying for it with the taxes anyway. I mean, that's just the way, being alive means you're going to be in a hospital. You're probably born in a hospital. You're going to die in a hospital. Like, there's not a whole lot of ways around that. And if, as a part of a club, if everybody pools the money together, we can take care of everybody.
Well, I agree with you about the socialized healthcare, which is why I think it's interesting, because
but that's all.
If you're telling me I got to pay anyway, because if I don't pay, you're going to charge me a fee or a fine, and then I still, by the way, don't have health insurance.
Wait, why?
You could elect to pay the fine and not have health insurance.
Yeah, it might be cheaper.
And again, doesn't exist anymore. But
wait, what do you mean it doesn't exist anymore?
I don't think you get fined anymore. I think you could just not have health insurance.
No, the individual mandate, I mean, it might be different state to state, too. That's the other problem, is that different states come in and they argue against it. That's the other issue with all of it, is that, the government comes in and says we're going to subsidize to help make these a lot more affordable for people, and then the governor gets up and goes, yeah, fuck that, we're not taking your money. And then everybody gets kind of screwed underneath that because now it's really expensive. But I do think the individual mandate is still part of it. I think
I'll look into that. I'll look into that, because I had heard now that if you do not have health insurance, you don't have to pay the tax penalty. But again, be that as it may, if you're going to force me to have insurance, everyone has to have it. Why are we all paying for it?
You are. There's a confusion.
Then we shouldn't. If everyone has to pay for it, then everyone should just have it and take it out of my taxes equally. I don't know. It seems a little bit backwards, because I feel like the way you're describing it, we already have socialized healthcare.
We do, if it wouldn't constantly get cut up by the states. There's an issue with the federal and the state, and so the federal says to the state, we're going to give you subsidies to allow this many people to be covered, and you can help fill in the gaps, basically. And the governor will stand up and go, we're not going to take that.
Well, so what do you think is going to happen now when they open up the state lines and you can now purchase insurance anywhere? Are the numbers going to drastically go through the floor because they're going to be fighting like cell phone carriers?
I think no, that's not what's going to happen. But I think the issue is that you do have a group of people that are trying drastically to break it so it goes away. And that's the problem, is like, people are politicizing it. Like, if you're a Republican governor, you stand up and say, we will not take the money from the federal government. Well, all that does is hurt the marketplace. And it eventually hurt your constituents, right? So, or like, the tax bill, right now, they're passing a tax bill, and they just threw in there that we're going to take out the individual mandate. Well, that would destroy the entirety of the Affordable Care Act. So that's what they're trying to do. They keep trying to find ways to slip out. Or Trump stopped advertising. There's open enrollment right now, right? He stopped all the advertising for it to make sure nobody enrolled. Didn't work because all the social media people bumped it up and everybody enrolled anyway. But they're trying desperately to show. They keep saying it's going to fail, it's going to fail, it's going to fail, and they keep trying to do little things to make it fail, and then it'll probably fail. Of course, it's very easy to make things that are difficult break. Jesus Christ, how hard is that? It's very hard to get it started. So I don't know how it's going to work. Perfect. Sir, I'm saving my money, getting ready to move out of the fucking country. That's how I feel. To be
that's what I was going to ask. I mean, is that what's going to happen? I mean, what's going to happen? First of all, is he going to get reelected?
To be perfectly honest, it's the easiest impeachment in the history of impeachments ever. Like, it really is. As far as he could, if Bill Clinton got impeached for a blowjob, like, this is so easy. The second he put his hand up, he had about 5 things that he was actively doing that day with, the emoluments clause, with, he's having foreign adversaries stay in his fucking Trump hotels. I mean, he's clearly in line, and the Russia thing isn't fake, and Mueller's a badass. Like, there's like 18 attorneys, there's like that's not going to end well. Now, whether or not there's the political will to actually remove him, but it's just going to take away his ability to do anything. And he didn't even do anything in his first year. I can't fucking believe it. I can't believe that. Nothing got passed. He just did stupid executive orders that can just be reversed. I can't believe they didn't repeal Obamacare. They didn't pass tax reform. How the fuck did they do that? They didn't build the wall. They haven't done anything that he wanted to do. Like, that's amazing.
Do you think he genuinely would want to be reelected?
I don't think he genuinely wanted to be president.
So do you think he wakes up, what did I get into? Why did I do this?
I think he's just, I think you're giving him too much credit. I just think he's power hungry. I just think he's enjoying the attention. He likes tweeting about LeVar Ball.
I think, the high school mentality, is I want to win. I want to be the president. I want to be I want the top. I want to win. And then you win and you're like, I don't know. I just wanted to win.
Yeah, he just wanted to win, and he just likes, listen, he's tweeting about LeVar Ball. Like, think about that. He's tweeting that he didn't get a good enough thank you.
Before he even had a chance to get a thank you.
Right. It's like, okay, this is awfully embarrassing. Like, there's no other way to put it. This isn't even I keep people saying, I don't want to talk politics. I'm like, what's political about this? This has nothing to do with politics. This is awful. This is just so awful.
Why? Why has it gotten like this? Is this just social media?
I completely.
Just what was going to happen?
Again, the fact that you even thought it was an appropriate vote tells you, right? It tells you that our media is broken. Our information system is broken. Say what you want about having 3 talking heads or Walter Cronkite as your news source. At least back then, people could be stupid and get their news. And that.
So that's a really good point, because that, and I've been reading a lot of your takes on all this Harvey Weinstein male sexual abuse fallout all over Hollywood, and that to me is the interesting part, because the message was so controlled from the time they invented the radio until, I don't know,
the internet
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Even still with the internet, people didn't consider it a viable news source until
it's Facebook.
They considered it a viable news source.
You're talking Facebook, not internet. It's Facebook is the deal breaker.
Was that good? Because it clearly wasn't.
Well, if you
now, everything's coming out. You have guys who are sitting in that chair, that big chair that you were talking about, delivering us news, and these were some of the worst people. Anti-Semites and racists and womanizers.
Walter Cronkite?
No, not Walter.
Who are you talking about, dog?
I mean, there are others. There are some things that some of these people. I'm trying to think of a good example.
Please.
Some of the stuff that's even a guy. I mean, do you consider Bill Maher a giver of the news or an entertainer?
He's an entertainer. He's a comedian.
And that's what's interesting too, because I don't know. I feel like it's probably a handful of guys who do comedy news, but
they're satirists. When you used to have a real information source, you could have satirists, and you didn't look to them for fucking news. That's the problem. Is that the satirists haven't changed. The news has. I mean, Jon Stewart is doing the same things all the satirists were doing before. Just news got so fucking bad, you couldn't tell the difference. You couldn't tell.
That's news.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is that the first initial issue is when you have 24-hour news, right? You turn news into entertainment like SportsCenter. That's problem number one. And then you have copycats that aren't trying to make it entertainment. They're literally trying to push an agenda. That's problem number two. And then the third problem is you have Facebook, which basically becomes you programming all of your news by what friends you attract. So you make a little island, you only have so many friends, and they all agree with you, and they all find yournewswire.com and worldnetdaily.com and all these things that look like real news, and that's the only thing you see. So and some of those websites, their only job was to make Trump seem like a normal candidate and make it look like this false equivalency. Yes, Trump sexually assaulted women, but come on, Bill Clinton. Trump da-da-da-da. But come on, Hillary and Haiti and Benghazi. And, they just kept trying to equate these things. I mean, do you know how many fucking embassy attacks that we had under the Bush administration? You know how many people died? That shit happens all the time. There was nothing improper about Benghazi. It was just one embassy attack. It was one. 4 people died. It sucked ass, dude. That's awful. That's what people do, is they attack our embassies. I think like 30 people died under Bush. Who gives a fuck? That's not a scandal. That's shit that happens. But you have news sources that are literally trying to make it turn into something. And then
I was talking to Peter Greenberg, and we interviewed him for the travel documentary that I'm working on.
Right.
And, he was talking about all these travel bans and travel warnings and all this stuff that the U.S. Department puts out. He said there's warnings in every other country out there, and some of them are so ridiculous and so stupid. And he said since the bombing in I believe it was 1988, the plane bombing that killed a bunch of Americans. Yep. Since then, 30 years, how many Americans, not news guys who are putting themselves in harm's way, but how many actual Americans traveling out of the country have been killed? What do you think the number is?
Yeah, it's very low. Out of the country, very low. Yeah.
800.
Yeah.
800. More people died in 9/11.
Right.
I mean, his line, I'll steal it. He said more people die in their bathtubs on a weekly basis.
No, and that's true about all terrorist attacks, which is also why it's so ridiculous that we act like ISIS is the end of the world. Like, no, not really. It isn't. Even all we see it all now because of the social media.
I mean, you're in more danger here with all the gun violence that's going on. I mean, in way more danger.
Yeah, and even that, it isn't that dangerous. Like, I know it's awful. Gun violence is awful, but random acts of gun violence, nah, there's just not a whole lot of them. I mean, unless you're like slinging crack, you're probably pretty safe. That's the truth. Statistics are a weird thing. Our brain sees 2 of something and it becomes a pattern. 2 isn't a pattern. You know what I mean? That's not a pattern. As awful as all these mass shootings are, what's awful about them is that they're random and they're pretty easy to prevent because other countries have done it. But it's still the chances that you're going to be at that moment. It's a lightning strike. It's not.
Well, I think you're exactly right. I think the randomness of it has put the fear of God in people because it's happening in elementary schools. It's happened in a movie theater. It's happened at a country concert.
Right.
So I mean, the what's next really is anything, and it could happen anywhere. And I think the false sense of security. I'm sorry, listen, I've gotten into airports with knives, not on purpose, just
Right.
a knife on a multi-tool.
Hey, listen, I've taken a machine gun on an airport. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I was about to take it over.
I felt the better of it. I mean, it's the amount that you can get away with and the true lack of security that goes on is unbelievable. So really, there is a random thing. Listen, I agree with you. It is horrible what goes on, but I think we don't use it as a good enough opportunity to hug and kiss the ones you're with and appreciate that your life could end tomorrow. And it could be anything.
Yeah.
And
I do. I found more. It's funny. I was on the. You know who Frangela is? A black comedy duo.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, they're awesome.
I was on a plane with Key last night from Key and Peele.
Yeah, they're actually all friends. The whole. Apparently, every black comic knows each other. I'm doing the awful white generalization. Oh, are you friends with blah blah blah? It's not true at all. I do it to Don all the time, dude. Like if anything comes up black in the news, I call up Don. I'm like, "Yo, do you know this guy?" He's like, "Why the fuck would I know that guy, motherfucker?" Like, you think we all? Oh, Bob. Yeah, I know Bob. It's such a white guy thing to do. Anyway, I was on with Frangela, and I was saying that I found more peace this year than ever before. Now, they're a very highly progressive, liberal talk show, and they're like stressing the fuck out. How are we going to get back to house? And I'm like, I just let it go because I realized that the second facts didn't matter, nothing matters, and there's no reason to argue anymore. And I played more video games with my kids than I've ever played in my entire life. I've spent more time at parks. Because it really does feel like I'm going to pick up my phone one morning and the nuke will have hit, and then all shit's going to. I feel like that could happen at any time now, and
there's no reason to think it won't.
Right, there really isn't now. Like he's clearly shown himself to be. His issues with emotions are high, to say the very least. So. Once you accept that, it's not negative. It's not bad. It really is hey, wow, I'm free to, I still want to make sure my mortgage is paid. I'm probably going to want to live here next month. But for the most part, I'm just saving all my money and spending as much time with my kids who are fucking hilarious. Kids are awesome. Kids, they don't know any of this. They're 4 and 5, man. It's great. They think Trump is funny. They look, what the fuck is this? They don't know, and so they know Mario better than they know Trump, right? So, appreciate the little things, be in the moment, and it's been a good year for that. Other than my time machine not working, it's been a good year for that. That's very stressful.
I think that's huge too, and I really want to get your take on Hollywood blowing up. I mean, is this?
It's awesome.
Is it the beginning of the end?
It's awesome. No,
what happens next?
Studios start hiring more women because men are too much of a liability. That's what happens next.
It's interesting. It's funny because I was thinking about when I brought up the reporters, I was thinking more stuff like Roger Ailes, guys who are controlling the message, who are just not good people.
Right.
And Harvey Weinstein, not a good person. Another guy controlling the message. And now you have all this stuff with actors, and I don't know that actors per se control the message. I mean,
You think Spacey didn't? Spacey changed the entire landscape of television with House of Cards. I mean, he was a huge player. But I think what you're going to see now is studios cannot afford to hire anybody with these reputations. None of this shit was new. Everybody knew about Kevin Spacey. Everybody knew about these people. None of this was new. So,
are they ever going to work again?
No, Spacey's done.
No.
Louis C.K. will work again. Here's how I look at it in my head.
Why is he better?
Because if both of them went to the police and said exactly what happened, one would be in jail, one wouldn't. Right?
Yeah, but the one that wouldn't is Spacey.
No, Spacey.
Oh,
literally.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry. I see what you're because of what they did. I thought you were talking about because of their reputation.
No, because of what they did.
Because they're standing in society. No, yeah, you're right. One of them.
They're awful. I mean, what Louis C.K. did is fucking awful, and it was repeated, and he did it repeatedly, and he used his power. It's an abuse of power. It's all of those things. But to be honest, I don't think it's actually illegal to If somebody comes to your hotel room and you ask them if you can do something and then you do it. But what Kevin Spacey did is actual assault. I mean, there's a million. I mean, yeah. So if you take, it's like the Franken thing. You know, if she were, what he did, Franken's going to be fine. First of all, because it looks like it was a politically motivated hit job, but we'll find that out later. But if you take the victim's story, and she was a victim. If everything she said was 100% true, that's bullshit. Yeah. He's a slimy fuck for writing in a kiss anyway. You're a little bitch, dude. You know, that's a I'm an ugly writer. I want to kiss a playmate, so I'm gonna write in a kiss to the scene. Yeah, I hate that shit.
There's so many. I would have rather he just abused his power on somebody else.
Right?
You know, why be that transparent?
Right. But the truth is if she went to the police, that there is no assault there because she consented to the kiss. Him adding tongue doesn't. He stopped. That's the end of it. So those are in different categories than Bill Cosby or Harvey Weinstein. They're just different. It's not. There is a scale in our legal system for a reason, right? It doesn't make them good people, but there is a level, and that's who will come back.
I think this goes into sports too because
what?
I'll tell you.
Are you going to say Zeke?
Yeah, I'm talking about Zeke Elliott, right? So last night I watched my Dallas Cowboys get obliterated by the Eagles in the second half. I mean, obliterated, where all they could do is just, give up touchdowns on every possession. There it is.
Zeke!
There it is.
My favorite fucking Buckeye. I'm so beyond bummed about all this. Go ahead.
Right? So the Cowboys are basically done this year.
Yeah.
I mean, give another week or two and it'll probably be mathematically over. But I think when these things happen, you look at the standing of the person, and I think it's sad that we still value that. Or leading up to this whole Hollywood mess, the standing of the person always mattered. And you don't have to go back that far. Colin Kaepernick was like a year ago. And I think if Colin Kaepernick was the reincarnation of Joe Montana, he'd be playing football this year.
Of course.
But because he's not that good of a player, he's not. Period. And we could dissect that, but I think on face value, that's just true.
The one sentence, the only sentence you have to say is that owners have to do more than win. They have to sell tickets. And they're not going to risk tickets if you're not Joe Montana. They're not going to put him on the team for a backup because it just isn't worth it. You're going to split your fan base. So it's not about him being black. It's about, I got to fucking sell to racists.
Oh, I don't think it's about him being black at all. I think they don't want the heat. And with Zeke Elliott now, you have a guy who is a top-flight, big running back. Right. And he was able to avoid a suspension for 6 weeks because of who he is and who he is alone. Because anybody else, and Tom Brady did it for a year, by the way. Anybody else would have been sitting.
Well, I don't know that. My problem with Zeke might be a bad choice to bring that up, only because the Zeke case is so flimsy. I
think it's very interesting. I think if he would have carried it out till the end of the year, if he would have gotten away with a stay on this and played the whole season, I think when it went into the court system, I don't think he would have sat a game.
Well, but the court system is only. This is what happened with Brady, though, too. The courts. Goodell has the right to do what he did. It's not about whether the person is guilty. It's about whether or not Goodell has the right to do it, and that's what they're going to court for.
I think in this case, different than Brady, it was about how the investigation was conducted, and whether or not they would find it unfair enough. And it's different because one's white and one's black, and because if you're not a Patriots fan, you hate the Patriots. It's sad.
Listen, I hate the Patriots. I think Tom Brady. Tom Brady is from fucking Michigan, and I'm an Ohio State Buckeye, so I can't tell you how bad I hate that motherfucker. But Deflategate was the stupidest thing I've ever witnessed in sports. It doesn't make any sense. It shouldn't. He should never have been. It's the stupid. Like, just from a science perspective, if the inflation or deflation of a football is that important, why the fuck do they have the balls? Give them to the officials. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. It was never that much of a big deal, which is why people inflated it or deflated it however fucking much they wanted. It's stupid. It has nothing to do with why they're good. People hate it because of all the other slimy shit the Patriots do. And that same thing with Zeke. The abuse charge was bullshit. They were texts that showed that she was trying to tell her friends to lie for her. But guess what? Zeke did all the other stupid stuff. He pulled the girl's shirt up and their
breasts out.
Yeah, it's like, dude, you're a fucking idiot. He was a fucking idiot. But as far go ahead.
So I bring up that's what I'm saying. I bring up all this sports stuff because I wonder when we talk about the entertainment stuff how it plays. Bill Cosby. The fact is, if Bill Cosby would have been, smack in the middle of the Cosby Show.
Right.
I still think what he did was so bad.
He
would never work another day, but God damn, I wouldn't risk my life. I wouldn't bet my life on it.
Cosby's a very interesting situation because all these other people never claimed to be a role model, right?
That's right.
But Cosby literally claimed to be a role model. He was the father of America. He acted like Cliff Huxtable. He not only told America that I'm the father of America, he used that persona to lure the women to his room and drug them and rape them. I mean, he is a sort of evil that is just uncharted territory as far as the amount of time he could do it and how high his stature was. I don't think people realize he was so influential, dude. If we didn't have the Cosbys, we wouldn't have the Obamas. Like, he changed the way America thought about black people. I mean, he did so many positive things. The Cosby Show was so revolutionary and so groundbreaking. It's just...
But I just think that because of the fact that he was old and he wasn't doing anything anymore, it was easy to write this guy off. And Harvey Weinstein, I think it was.
Yeah, it was.
I really wonder.
But
what would have happened to this guy if this was if this all came out?
Sure.
But his career, and that's why Harvey Weinstein is interesting because you have a guy with so much power, and the sad thing is Harvey Weinstein will work again. It'll just be quietly, and I think he's still going to shoot his money around.
You can't stop people from investing.
Right. You won't hear about him again.
Right.
He won't be in the public eye. But he's going to do his thing.
I don't even think people would accept his money for fear that it would get. Hollywood's this is different than the norm. This is different than Cosby. What's happening now is
and that's why Spacey's interesting.
Well, the pendulum is swinging so hard. Anybody with even a hint of womanizing is going to have some problems. Like
agreed. And I love that there's been no denials.
Right.
For the most part, there's one.
Yeah, there's one. Ratner's denying it, but he's not.
But for the most part, there's no denying. There's no minimizing. I think the minimizing is the worst thing. Right. Spacey kind of did that, but
that was a pretty awful fucking tweet.
He did that under the pretext of, I did it. There's no statute of limitations on what I did, so I'm not really going to say I did it. Right. But I will still say how bad it is if what they're saying I did happened. So.
Oh, and I'm gay, and I just thought I'd let you know.
I'm gay thing, forget it. That's all. I mean,
it's like, the fuck are you doing, dog?
Awful. But at least he admitted that the magnitude of what they're saying that he might have done is awful.
Well, but he was just talking about the one kid. There's dozens. So, if I was drunk and I jumped on you and... listen, there's a whole bunch of fucking... First of all, we shouldn't be talking about this because we're white with dicks. And I think what I've done mostly is just shut the fuck up and just watch it happen. Because clearly there are little details and logistics in all of this that could be discussed ad infinitum, right? There always are. But today, in 2017, those logistics don't matter anymore. It's time to clean house. I could sit there and, the thing that always comes up is underage groupies that claim rape, right? It could absolutely be rape, but then you have to ask, why is a 15-year-old at an LA party with there's all these weird questions that come up, but in today, no, I'm not going to bring them up. I don't want to talk about it. I want to listen to what they have to say, and let's just clear the air. And I think that you were asking what the end result will be. We're going to change casting in Hollywood. I guarantee you will never see another male and female producers. That whole percentage is going to shift hard. I think you're going to see female producers, female studio heads, not that females can't do this, but they're a much better risk. And we're just talking money. I mean, the show Transparent with Jeffrey Tambor, he's gone. The whole fucking show's gone. What the fuck? House of Cards, the fuck are they going to do? They're in the middle. Jesus Christ, do you know how much money that's costing these people? Like, we're talking real money. And when that happens, now, when it comes to the next show, that guy's got a reputation. I don't think we're gonna go with that. I think we're gonna do the other show. That's where it shifts.
We're gonna cast Tom Hanks.
Oh yeah, Tom Hanks or Tamara Johnson. Like I think you're gonna see a female explosion in 2018.
I think it's great. Look, honestly, to me, I think it's the most. And it's hard because I can't say I've been to a frat party here or there where I saw things that were questionable. Where if the questionable subject was a famous actor, he'd probably be getting blown up. But because he's not, it's just boys being boys and all that stuff. And I hate that. I hate that. I watched that. My girlfriend was watching 13 Reasons Why.
Yeah.
And I hate watching rape in television and movies. I get that it's thematic and it's supposed to strike a nerve. I just don't think it should be there. I don't know that it's necessarily ignoring a real problem. I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is, but it hits me the wrong way every time I watch it on television. Maybe I think it's because I think it gets normalized. I think a lot of the problems that we have today, I think mass shootings are a problem we have today because the internet has normalized too much. I heard this in a psychology class a million years ago, that when you have the outlet of other deviant behavior grows.
Right.
And when you don't, it's the old problem in the 50s where there were no rapists and there were no gay people because everyone just hid it and didn't talk about it. Well, of course there were.
Right.
And it wasn't talked about. And then, by the way, don't get me wrong. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being gay at all. I'm just talking about the social stigma that was behind it.
Right.
That people hid behind. But today, where you have what's considered deviant behavior when so many people are doing it, it happens more. It's an outlet. I could talk about my guns online.
I don't think it happens more necessarily. The gun thing, listen, the access to guns has changed in the past 30 years. It really has. The technology has changed.
You don't think some of the porn stuff, some of the things that people see in porn?
I think it desensitizes behavior as to willingness to do it. Willingness to admit that you want to do it.
There's no question that the internet, the internet has given pedophiles an outlet.
Right.
Because otherwise there was no way to find a 13-year-old girl unless you were going to go to the park.
Oh, dude. And as someone with family members that were abused at those ages, believe me, they found it.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of family stuff that has always gone on, and that's when it's too easy because But the Dateline stuff, that type of stuff, that outlet.
Oh, To Catch a Predator.
Yeah. The outlet has been put out there. It has given people more opportunity, ways to hide behind your own behavior to try to do it without being so overt. Because for the introvert, the guy that that's afraid to go to the park or that's afraid to do it with their niece and is looking for somebody different.
Yeah.
The internet has given that access, and
sure.
I don't know. I just don't know where we're going. That's why I love these discussions.
Yeah, I think all that goes both ways. I don't think I think it happened a lot. It's like gay people didn't get influenced by finding out there were other gay people or by porn. I think people felt uncomfortable in the norms of the 1950s. Right. But didn't say anything. They were always there. I actually
think what's funny is I think the internet was the greatest thing for gay people because what I'm talking about in deviance, it worked in reverse for gay people.
Right.
I think it helped this thing that is completely normal and biological.
Right.
The internet helped normalize it to the point where now, sadly, you leave the United States and there are countries where you still get put to death for being gay. But at least here, where we're talking about in the United States, it's now a perfectly normal thing to be gay. It's legal to marry your same-sex partner. I think the internet did exactly for that what it's doing in the negative for some deviant behavior.
But it just depends on your definition of deviant and what decade we're in. I hear you, but obviously non-consensual sex is deviant, right? I'm not saying that.
Let's slap it illegal.
Right, right. Yeah, deviant is a very difficult word. Illegal. There you go. The laws.
Is a better word. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's the Wild West, man. Like we're in a. I don't know what happens next. That's why I rarely get involved in these conversations now, because it makes me really sad for my kids. You know, because it's just heartbreaking that their world is going to get so splintered. I mean, listen, we all got a smack in the face when we were kids and then grew up and realized the world kind of sucks ass, right? But for my kids, you know, I know your kids are young too. It's really actually fucked up. And you just gotta just enjoy the day. You know, you try to make sure that you put your effort and energy behind positivity. So in the future, Mr. Aaron, if you could put your vote, even if you don't like her, behind someone that might actually move some progress forward, I think we'd all appreciate that. I know you didn't think it mattered, but it mattered a little bit. However, because of Trump, perfectly honest, that's why Weinstein is sitting on the sidelines right now. Because women were so fucking angry about the injustice of a very qualified female getting passed over for a fucking pig that has no business being anywhere near that office, that they marched. And then they said, hey, fuck you. I'm not going to take your bullshit I'm going to take you down. And they're taking everybody down.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think it's great. And the sad part is the guy who should have been taken down first gets to be the president of the United States.
You voted for him.
I did, because, again, even knowing what I knew with the Billy Bush stuff, I knew that's
Billy Bush
every day.
That's the easiest shit, dude. Just like women's rights. The right to choose, you know, like, I'm not gonna get into this now. My daughter, I'm gonna take a picture of my gorgeous daughter and shove it in your face, and who you voted against, right there. Look at her. Oh,
she is beautiful.
Is that the sweetest?
You have a beautiful family, brother.
Thanks, man. No, I like you, obviously, and I do. Listen. I've tried to explain this to a lot of people that don't understand what a Trump supporter was, and I said we were dealing with a really fucked up information situation, and Hillary's an awful candidate. Like, she was awful.
Listen, I'm the furthest thing from your like homophobic, racist.
Right.
You know, I mean, that I couldn't be further from what a Trump supporter is.
Right.
Because I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm a guy that voted for Trump because I didn't like the alternative, and I think there are a lot of people like me. A lot.
Yeah, obviously. There's 63 million. They can't all be like that. However, in the long run, it was a big conglomeration of things that happened. There's not one reason. I mean, 3 million more people voted for her. Like, that's bizarre. You know, it was a crazy convergence of fucked up news sources, and literally she wasn't a good candidate. She never came off as believable or ever vulnerable. I mean, it's what made me nuts in 2008 with her and Obama. You'd sit and listen to Obama and you actually felt like you understood what he was saying, and he could, you know, and Hillary just was like, why are you doing that with your voice? Why are you, you know, and it's not a female thing. There's a bunch of female politicians that can hold a goddamn conversation and not sound like that, you know, and, you know, there's something about Hillary that's just is off-putting. It always has been. You're just like, ugh, stop it. But of course she would have been a fucking better president. It's like, oh my God, dude. Like, it's not even, it's not even in the.
At this point, I couldn't agree with you.
Yeah, you have to admit, even I'm surprised at how bad Trump was. Once he was elected, part of me went, well, maybe he will be like The Apprentice and have some idea of who to hire, right? Like, that's what I was saying. It's like, maybe he will put a good team around him, and maybe it'll be okay. And then immediately, he did it. He hired the worst people, the worst shit, and he kept tweeting. I thought they'd take your fucking phone away when you become president. I really did.
Apparently not.
What the fuck? I can't believe we have a president that sits on the toilet and tweets stupid shit about basketball players. Like, holy shit. Do your job! Oh my God, I can't believe it. It's fucking blowing my mind.
I guess we'll see where it all goes.
Yeah, dude, we're way past our hour.
We are, but good stuff, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, no, I have no idea what we even talked about because I just woke up.
I know. Can't wait to listen back.
Yeah, I hope I didn't say anything I didn't mean, but go Bucks. It's beat Michigan week. It's beat Michigan week.
I love it.
The
Now
Bucks.
I have to focus on college football because the NFL's over for me.
Yeah, yes, it is.